Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Andrew Meadows. Come on down.
I'm the next contestant on The Price
You
is
are
Right.
the next contestant on Watch, Review, Repeat, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Wanted to wish a happy Veterans Day to all those who have served, since we are, in fact, recording on Veterans Day.
Cheers to you, my friend. You are
Thank
also
you.
Included in that list of people.
That is true. I appreciate that. Appreciate the sentiment. Yeah, it's been a good day. I'm in a good mood. Have had a pretty good, I guess, couple weeks, we could say, in spite of the reason for the delay. So I think we were planning on recording this past Monday, and we ended up pushing it back a week because I had school stuff, but it's mostly out of the way at this point, so I've had a good time since it's been out of the way, and we are finally convening to talk about Terminator Dark Fate. A little bit late to the party. It's basically the second episode in a row that it's happened for one reason or another, but sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles, so what are you going to do?
That's it. But we're here, and we're ready to talk about it. That's what counts.
We are here to talk about it. We'll have some words on Terminator Dark Fate, certainly. And I got to say, just as a side note, I feel like moving forward, we'll probably have a bit more frequent releases. Hopefully, I think that's kind of the plan, at least for November, because there's a lot of movies that we got to talk about. I know there's some movies that I don't know if you've had a chance to see The Lighthouse yet. I haven't myself, but I'm hoping that's another one that we can put on the pile of. There's just a lot. We'll talk about it at the end of the episode, kind of what we might have coming up for future episodes, but there's a lot of movies. It's like every week there's something coming out that I think both of us want to see. So I'm thinking hopefully we can slide to a more frequent release and record and release schedule, but to be determined, I suppose. But either way, I'm excited to talk about what we can talk about today, which is Terminator Dark Fate. Just a quick word on the Patreon side of things. It's obviously past the Halloween season. I guess a belated happy Halloween to anyone because I think we recorded a little bit before Halloween itself happened. But hopefully everyone had a good time, did some trick-or-treating, maybe dressed up for a costume party, something like that. And hopefully everyone has had a chance to support us on Patreon and listen to our fucking Evil Dead episode. You know what I'm saying?
It's gold.
I don't think anyone has, because we have the exact same amount of supporters as we did before Halloween. But that's okay. It is not too late. If you have any interest, we did a bonus episode covering 4 films from the Evil Dead franchise. We did the original Sam Raimi trilogy with Bruce Campbell, and then we covered the Fede Alvarez reboot, remake, however we want to call it, sequel. And it was a fun episode to record on. One of our favorite franchises in general, probably, but certainly horror franchises more specifically. It was a fun episode to record on. It was a fun franchise to revisit, and hopefully you guys want to hear our thoughts on that. And if you want to do that as soon as possible, just check out our Patreon, watchreviewrepeat.com. Click the premium tab in the top left, and then click the Become a Patron button. And if you don't feel like doing that, that's cool. You'll have an opportunity to listen to it, hopefully in just a couple weeks' time. So if you want to write it out, totally cool. We get it. If you want to throw a couple bucks our way,
that's
also
cool too.
Much appreciated. Also very cool. We will be starting up on a series of bonus episodes centering around a franchise that takes place in a galaxy far, far away shortly. We are going to be talking about a little bit of Star Wars. We're going to be doing, I think, three bonus episodes is the hope that we're gonna do original trilogy, prequel trilogy, and then talking about the first 2 in the sequel trilogy and maybe some thoughts and stuff of The Rise of Skywalker ahead of its release. So lots of good stuff coming out on our Patreon. So that's that. I want to hear about Terminator. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, sir. Do you have a fun fact ready to go concerning Terminator Dark Fate by any chance?
I do. This movie is possibly one of the... this is my personal fun fact. I will.
Okay.
Full disclosure. This film has some of the worst promo art of all films. It's up there.
Ever?
It's up. Yeah, ever. For major blockbuster releases.
I have a question for you. I don't mean to cut you off, but I have a question for you.
Yes.
The bar is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, at least in terms of our episode art that we did. So are you saying it's below the Fallen Kingdom line or above the Fallen Kingdom line?
I would say that it is...
Or about at it. It could be at it.
I don't know. I feel like it's about at it. As far
The
as
bar
promo.
is very low for those.
Yes.
Not knowing what we're talking about. Just take a gander at our website and go find our 2018 episodes. Yeah, it must have been 2018. 2018 episodes. Look for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom and just take a quick look at that promo art and just look at the glory. Look at the glory of it.
This promo art's particularly bad. And a lot of the promotional material, I mean, as far as like the trailers and stuff goes, CG was absolutely horrendous. Looked really bad. They may have fixed some of that. They may have not fixed some of that. We'll talk about it.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, so it was plagued with bad promo material, this movie was. And I think that we'll also talk about this, but I think it may have affected the box office roundup a little bit. Box office breakdown, maybe tooting some sad horns. We'll talk about it.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, as the NPR goes. Yeah, so.
Yeah, we'll talk about that as well. Okay, well, it's a bit of a different flavor of a fun fact. I feel like there's like a fact that you could throw out here, which is kind of interesting, but I also think it's a spoiler, and it's definitely something I want to bring up in spoilers. So maybe we'll circle back to that because, again, flagging the box office a little bit here. Kind of seems like people probably wouldn't care too much based on its reception, but at the same time, we'll be courteous and not just, spoil everything for everyone right off the bat. But we can get into some news. I will start off with some excellent news.
Excellent
news.
What do we got?
News that we've had a chance to grapple with for a couple weeks now, since it's been a little while since we've recorded. But excellent news, I say. David Benioff, DB Weiss. Those fuckers that ruined Game of Thrones after they apparently made it so good. Maybe it wasn't their fault. Maybe it was. Maybe when they went off book, that's when it all went to shit. I don't know. Either way, the final season of Game of Thrones happened, and boy did it happen. And boy did it retroactively basically ruin everyone's enjoyment of the series, ourselves included, I would say. Yeah. And part of the reason it seemed like maybe they weren't spending so much time on Game of Thrones towards the end of its tenure is the fact that they signed a big deal with Lucasfilm to work on a trilogy of Star Wars films. We didn't know anything about what those Star Wars films were going to be. We just knew that they were going to happen, and they were going to be the ones, shepherding them into production. But the excellent news
would
is
have it.
That is no longer happening.
No.
Benioff and Weiss are off. Star Wars trilogy, at least, their vision of the trilogy will not be moving forward. And quite frankly,
okay.
I feel like when the news came out about them doing the trilogy, it was kind of just like a cool kind of thing, because it was pre the final season, or at least maybe in the midst of the final season before it really turned the corner into being just absolute dog shit. But since we've now seen, unrestrained Benioff and Weiss without any sort of compass to guide them, please don't let these men anywhere near Star Wars.
That's a Lucas trope. In the Lucas trope, we got the last season of Game of Thrones. I read online that they said they had no idea what they were doing the entire series. Did you read that?
Yeah, so there was a kind of I think there was some sort of panel at some sort of event. I don't know exactly what it was. I don't know if it was a Comic-Con or what it was, but yeah, someone kind of put the transcript of kind of what they were talking about on Twitter, and it was basically just it was to that something to that effect of we didn't really know what we were doing. We were just kind of relying on everyone else, and I was just like, well, no fucking shit, assholes, But it's clear that they were certainly in over their heads at one point or another. Maybe they wanted to jump ship so they could, move on to greener pastures, which they thought would probably be Star Wars at the time. I think they have a big Netflix deal that they've signed, so it's not like they're going away completely. They'll be probably putting out some trash on Netflix about, the South winning the Civil War still, because they really wanted to make that show for some reason. I think in terms of Star Wars, Star Wars has The Rise of Skywalker coming out. We've got The Mandalorian dropping literally tomorrow.
Yes.
As of recording this episode. And we didn't need this. You know what I mean? It's just it was like a blight on Star Wars. I'm really, really excited to see what Rian Johnson does with his eventual trilogy whenever he does get around to it. But get it right. You know what I mean? Like, put the right people in place. And like Lucasfilm has kind of struggled a little bit with like finding people that they can apparently like work well with. You know, the Lord and Miller fiasco with Solo.
Right.
I think they've lost like 2 or 3 directors at this point, just in general. So it's kind of been like a little messy, I think,
Choppy
behind the
water.
scenes, and you know. But this to me still feels like, even though it's not a great look in the sense of Lucasfilm having more kind of production troubles with things, like, I'm good with this. Get these guys away from Star Wars.
Don't get it into like the Ron Howard. I was gonna say Ron Burgundy, and I knew that wasn't right.
I'm Ron Burgundy?
Yeah, right. The Ron Howard Solo problem, where you make half of a movie and then you have to remake the movie.
Right. And you know, and I feel like both of us liked Solo well enough. Maybe me more than you, I'm not sure. It's not a bad movie, but it's like, yeah, don't put yourself in that situation if you don't have to. Like, cut the cord if you need to, and you know, recalibrate if you need to. So, you know, whether or not this trilogy happens, they're going to make more Star Wars movies. Obviously, that's a sure thing. It's going to happen eventually. But I think Bob Iger has basically said, you know, we'll take a hiatus in terms of Star Wars, which is true, and it's not true, because you will have TV shows filling the gap. But maybe you don't need a Star Wars movie coming out every year.
See the Kevin
in the
Feige
way that Marvel
thing?
movies
The Kevin Feige response to Star Wars?
No, I didn't.
So
what did he
Kevin
say?
Feige got awarded to produce a Star Wars thing, right?
Right, and so we know that that's coming. So that's, like I said, there's movies coming out. So we know Feige's at least doing one, and he'll probably still do that, you know.
Yeah, so he someone caught him on for an interview or something. I don't know the exacts of it, but it was something along the lines of, what do you think about franchise fatigue in Star Wars? And he said, well, they made 5 movies in the past 5 years, and they've made over $5 billion in 5 years. So I think they're doing okay with Star Wars. I think it's totally fine.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, you know, obviously it remains to be seen how Episode 9 does, but yeah, it'll clear $1 billion. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to... I don't think anyone's expecting it to put up Endgame numbers, you know what I mean? But I think it'll probably clear The Last Jedi. I don't even know if it'll do as well as Force Awakens did, you know what I mean? But like,
does it need to? It doesn't need to.
No, but it's just that like Last Jedi was a drop off from The Force Awakens, but it still made $1 billion plus. They still made Disney a lot of money, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, whatever you want to criticize. I mean, Solo is the closest thing to a failure that Lucasfilm has produced to this point. You know what I mean? In terms of box office, like, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't like the other Star Wars movies have done. Right. You know, since they've kind of relaunched the franchise. But, you know, it is what it is. We Star Wars is our shit. And I feel like collectively we want the best for the franchise, and I think it's safe to say that Benioff and Weiss are not the best for the franchise.
I said Miller for some reason, but yes, it does not include them. So
Miller's probably not the best either. Fuck him. You know, he's too busy making shitty beer or whatever. So we'll see what happens with this trilogy, if it happens at all, or if they just kind of, again, just completely scrap the whole thing and go in a different direction. Maybe they, you know, they kick the gears up on the Rian Johnson thing, or maybe Kevin Feige's comes into production sooner, or maybe they just end up taking a few years, you know, break from the cinema. I think any of those are fine. I think the only thing is, in general, in terms of release schedule, they kind of had the whole thing mapped out where they were alternating Decembers with Avatar's sequels and the Star Wars movies.
Right.
And I still feel like they're going to want to do that, just because that's a pretty killer December lineup. Theoretically, in terms of box office, if the Avatar sequels do anything close to what the first one did, up for debate as well. But yeah, I think they're still going to want to target that if I had to guess. So anyway, that's my news. Benioff and Weiss out the door, and we are thankful for it. So, based Lucasfilm, we thank you for telling these fuckers adios, and hopefully we get some better Star Wars projects in the future as a result of that. Maybe starting tomorrow.
What
do you got?
I have a following the fantasy trajectory. We have a trailer from Netflix for The Witcher.
A fuller trailer. I think we got a teaser or something a little while back, because we saw footage before, but this is kind of, you know, the main
full
event.
Deal. Yes.
Right. What'd you think?
I'm pretty stoked about it.
I think it looks excellent.
I'm pretty freaking stoked. Monster Hunter with mustache Cavill, sporting the Jarrett of Rivera think it's Geralt.
Geralt of Rivia.
Yes, I messed up all the words, so that's typical.
That's okay.
Yeah, totally about it. Definitely totally about it. He does some crazy sword play.
One of the things that stuck out to me, especially the first line that he has in this trailer, is it's like pitch perfect Geralt from like the game. Like just, like my reference touchstone for like what Geralt should sound like. It's just kind of like a low, gravelly voice. And Cavill nailed it. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
Because like he's almost too pretty for the character in a weird sort of way. Like he's an excellent, he's a very handsome man. There's no disputing this. I think everyone knows this. I think it is an objective fact that Henry Cavill is a good-looking man. But he's almost too good-looking for this role. But like when he did that, I was just like, you know what, I'm sold.
I'll buy it. Yeah, they give him some contacts and stuff, and he can totally do it. I think that it looks like they're putting the budget in it, which is pretty cool.
It does look pretty, I think, in terms of effects work, in terms of locations and stuff like that. Like it looks like a proper fantasy show where they didn't cheap out, because I think fantasy shows can sometimes look like they just filmed it in your backyard, or in like a nearby forest or something like that. Like it doesn't look otherworldly. It just looks like they just picked somewhere.
But they have a really strong IP on their hands. I think wasn't Witcher at one point like one of the top grossing video games ever sold?
Probably. I mean, Witcher 3 probably. I feel like the first one was kind of an underappreciated thing, and then when 2 came out, and it was such a big technological stride from the first one, and in general, just for when it came out.
It crushed computers like a decade later.
That game did. Third one won so many Game of the Year awards and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like as a game franchise, it's incredibly popular, probably as a result of Witcher 3 mostly, but I think the books are well regarded as well. From what I've read, I've enjoyed them. This one, this is taking place, this is based off of the books rather than the games. The games are effectively sequels to the book series.
Okay.
So this is kind of pre-video game Geralt, but because the games are so popular, I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in kind of familiar elements from it, or even plot threads if they advance. I think
the one shot of him in like the tub looked like straight out of the video game.
That's exactly. Like there's clearly things where it's just like, yeah, we know that this is a popular game franchise. We're not going to totally ignore that. But storyline, don't expect us to kind of touch on the same things. It's going to be, more faithful to the book in terms of being an adaptation. So it looks great. Yeah, cinematography looks really cool. It just feels like they are definitely putting some money in this, and it looks really cool.
That's December release, I think.
December release, yeah. I think December 20th. I'm not sure. I think this may be the first time we've had an official date on it. I could be mistaken, but yeah, just it's going to be a fun Christmas, I think.
It's going to be a fun Christmas. Lots of stuff to watch. No time with family, just to watch stuff. That's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah. Well, you could probably finish this before Christmas.
Yeah, grind it out.
Trying hard.
Yeah,
you're trying hard. I don't know how many episodes it's going to be, so that could be a factor. But I assume it's no more than a 10 episode. It's probably 8 to 10 if I had to guess.
Especially with the money they're pouring into it and stuff. It seems like it'd be...
do a less smaller episode count, more money per episode. That seems like the way to go.
I agree.
At least that's how I would do it.
What else do you got, man?
December 20th. I think that's one we can probably put on the pile of things we can cover. I think that'd be a good one.
That'd be a good one.
I have more Game of Thrones-esque stuff.
Okay.
I actually have 2 Game of Thrones pieces of news. I'll start with the first one. I say esque because we did technically, in a way, talk about Game of Thrones in terms of Benioff and Weiss. So you know how we've probably talked 2 or 3 times, if not more, about this prequel about the Long Night with the White Walkers and Bran the Builder and all that stuff.
We're like, I wonder what they're going to cover. I wonder what
I think every time it comes up, I'm just like, are you excited about this? And you're just like, I might have been once upon a time, but not anymore. That's pretty much been, I feel like, your take overall.
That's about my take.
I have good news for you, sir.
What's that?
You will never have to watch this show.
Oh.
Because it will not exist.
Oh, wah.
Yeah, so apparently they filmed a pilot for this.
And they said
and HBO took a look at this pilot and said, no, thank you. We are good. So apparently it was pretty bad.
HBO is not Netflix, apparently.
Yeah, just greenlighting everything.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, we'll put that on here. Yeah, original programming. We got billions of dollars, right? We've got a surplus of capital. Oh, we're losing money? Oh. Yeah, we'll just invest more. It's fine. We'll make it back somehow. New subscribers. I guess the pilot just didn't come together for one reason or another. This is the one with Naomi Watts, and I think she was kind of the biggest name in terms of the cast. And HBO has just decided basically to not move forward with it. I mean, personally, I don't know if this is part of the decision-making process. It's possible that the pilot was just outright bad. But for me, it's like it was supposed to be like the White Walkers, like the first time around. It was just like the last season ruined the White Walkers. Yeah. Why would anyone care? Like, we know they're a bunch of fucking losers. You know what I mean? Like, they're not a threat whatsoever. Why the fuck would they be a threat back then? So, like, that was always kind of my, like, concern with this of just, like, who cares at this point? Like, you could, if you stuck the landing, I feel like we're talking about a different version of this where they're ordering it to series. But it's just it kind of really feels like any momentum that this show had based on its general premise got
a movie about the White Walkers, a show based on the White Walkers. We saw a show based on was supposed to be based on the White Walkers, and
one that was supposed to be epic and have this conclusion that felt like, these guys are the real fucking deal.
I guess they're not.
Would you say that? Oh, okay. Well, then I don't care.
Right.
And HBO says then, well, I guess I don't care either. So yeah, it's not a huge loss, really.
No,
I wouldn't say. So
that's that.
I mean, I'd be curious to watch the pilot. I guess mostly just out of curiosity at this point. Curiosity for curiosity's sake, but not in terms of like, oh, I would be sad that we're not seeing more of this. Just as kind of an oddity of, like how bad does it have to be for HBO to just be like, oh no, this Game of Thrones branded thing is not going to be a good thing for us. And we were okay with airing the final season, so it must be really bad. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Good on them, I suppose, for hopefully saving us from something that we didn't want to see. I don't know. So that's my first Game of Thrones bit of news. I'll ask you for your next one. Next piece of news, I should say.
Let's talk about The Invisible Man, starring the lady from
Handmaid's Tale.
And
Mad Men. Can't forget about Mad Men. Elizabeth Moss.
Yes.
The great Scientologist herself.
Oh, I didn't know any of that.
She loves the Xenu.
Oh, okay. Well, so does Tom Cruise. There might be something about it.
Xenu just channels good acting performances into certain people. He blesses them with acting.
Thank you, Xenu.
Capabilities.
Thank you, Xenu. Mm-hmm. This looks interesting. Is it supposed to take on any of the monster universe kind of deal?
No, I don't think so. I think originally it was intended to, and then the Mummy happened, and there was like a one and done kind of thing. It was probably like the pilot episode of the Long Night prequel series, except they released it into theaters in the form of the Mummy, and everyone was just like, "Please cancel this, please."
We won't be doing that.
Universal was just like, "We got you, fam." I mean, I think at one point there was supposed to be... No, Johnny Depp was supposed to be an Invisible Man, which, A, that's a bad idea. Stop putting Johnny Depp in things, you fucking assholes. Like, seriously. But obviously Johnny Depp is Sir not appearing in this film. I think once the Mummy kind of crashed and burned... once it crashed and burned... it was in the airplane and they were rolling it. You guys get it. I think Universal kind of recalibrated their quote unquote dark universe, their Monsterverse or whatever it's called. I think Monsterverse is the WB Godzilla one, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think this was supposed to be the dark universe, quote unquote. The dark
think you're
universe.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So that was a massive failure, and they were just like, okay, we won't do that. We'll pump the brakes on that. So I think
waiting on Creature from the Black Lagoon or whatever.
Wow, you might be waiting a while on that one.
Yeah.
I think that this is kind of a calculated response of, okay, big budget kind of horror thing, big names didn't work. What do we do now? And I think what you're seeing here is this is a Blumhouse movie. It's low budget horror, straight horror from the looks of it, with I would say, modest cast. I mean, I don't think Elizabeth Moss is commanding Tom Cruise-esque salaries. And aside from her, I'd say there's not a whole lot of big names in this. And it feels a bit more small scale, a bit more personal. Looks like it could definitely be rated R from just the feel of it. Doesn't necessarily mean it is or will be, but I don't know. It feels like it really feels like a polar opposite direction from big budget mummy to low budget horror.
Yeah,
but it's an interesting direction, I feel. So, I mean, how did you feel about the trailer?
I thought it looked intriguing. I thought it looked like you see Blumhouse attached to it, and it kind of piques your interest a little bit, kind of like A24 does, and kind of picks your ears up a little bit. And yeah, no, I think there might be something there. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think the one thing that probably makes me the most excited about this, it's written and directed by Lee Whannell, who most recently did Upgrade, which I think you slept through most of. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to see the full thing in its entirety yet.
No, I slept through most of it.
Worthwhile, absolutely worthwhile, definitely worth your time. But he was also involved in the Saw franchise early on, and I think Insidious. He worked on some of the Insidious movies, maybe just one of them. I'm not sure which one.
Well, those are supposed to be pretty good too. Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of like modern horror, like pretty good. I wouldn't say amazing, any of them, but pretty good overall. But I feel like in terms of like kind of horror chops, he's got those, and I feel like Upgrade was. Again, I think I've said it before. It was the best Venom movie that came out in 2018. So, and it was actually, it was good in its own right. Beating Venom is a very hard, that's another low bar to clear, but it cleared it by a wide margin. I'll say that. So I'm excited to see kind of his take on this. I think that kind of makes me a little bit more excited about it. It's a February release, which is kind of like, but at the same time, in this day and age, it kind of just feels like you just drop a movie whenever you want, and people will respond if they care. And this is something I think that for A-list, obviously I'm going to go see it. Like, I think it's something I would A-list for sure. Otherwise, I'm not sure that it would pique my interest too much unless like the reviews were like really kind of like, oh, whoa, this is actually really, really good. But I'm expecting this to be pretty solid. I'm not expecting anything groundbreaking or particularly novel. It feels a bit Hollow Man sometimes, little just from the trailer's feel. But
little Kevin Bacon action, is that what you're saying?
Little Kevin Bacon action is what I'm saying. Yeah. But I'm curious to give this a look overall.
The Kevin Bacon movie was hollow. I mean, that was a like an Invisible Man kind of deal, right?
Yeah, no, he was literally invisible, and he kind of went psycho and started killing people. So I feel like it feels Hollow Man. I'm not wholly familiar with like the original novel, of the Invisible Man, which I think is kind of what the original Universal one was, I think, mostly based on. But I don't know. I mean, it's a fun premise. It's a cool premise that lends itself to a good horror type.
If you were an invisible
scenario.
person, I feel like everybody would just kind of treat you like you're like being a stalker man.
Well, it doesn't help if you're like haunting your ex-girlfriend or whatever's going on in
yeah,
this
that's true. That's kind of stalky, right?
It's a little stalky, yeah, I would say.
What do you say? Like, I'm here, but I'm invisible, and they're like, "What the fuck are you?" Like, how do you respond? Like, if there was an invisible man knocked on my door and like knocked on the door, he's fucking invisible, and he says, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm just fucking invisible." How do you respond to that? Holy shit! You close the door, and then I feel like I mean, there's no good trajectory for someone that's invisible, and that's what I'm saying. I feel like you're just inherently you're just gonna go on a dark, depraved path. Like the Invisible Woman pulls it off somehow, though. Fantastic Four, she's invisible, right?
Yeah.
But she can turn that on and
Reed
off.
Richards
though.
is a shitbag in that family, so
she can't turn. She turns that on and off, though, right?
That's yeah. If well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if he had the ability to control it at will, that would be perhaps even more dangerous for some,
right?
I think I think we just say Sue Storm is just a good-natured woman, and maybe. Maybe it's good that she got those powers instead of, say, Johnny Storm, for example.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Moving on.
Because he'd be spending a lot of time in women's locker rooms. Is all I'm saying. Bad on you, Johnny. Bad on you.
Bad.
Oh, it's my turn. I have more Game of Thrones news.
Jesus Christ. Another one's canceled?
I think this is the last Game of Thrones news I have for you, at least. Okay. So you may not be getting The Long Night as a prequel series, but god damn it, you're getting a prequel series whether you like it or not. Because you're going to get a series called House of the Dragon.
Oh.
Do you know what it centers around?
Targaryens?
The House Targaryen, that's correct. Pre-Daenerys Targaryen.
Like pre-Westeros?
First of her name, Queen of the Andals, and Breaker of Chains and Mother of Dragons. All you know all the titles. I know them all. I'm just testing you. Yes, this is interesting. This came out like maybe the same day that they announced that, like, this show, goodbye. And for this show, they're not ordering it just a pilot. They've just set a series order. Like,
yeah, fuck it.
We're just
making
something. This one. We're just like, this one sucks. This one will probably be okay. We're running out of time. Make something. Like, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Like, this one actually seems a little bit more interesting to me overall, which I'll get into just in describing it. Maybe you'll agree. Maybe you'll disagree. I'm not sure. But yeah, they're doing a straight to series prequel called House of the Dragon, which is going to be based off of George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood book, which is basically kind of like a historical a retelling of the Targaryen dynasty in the years kind of leading up to the events of the series of A Song of Ice and Fire, of the book series as well. It's set 300 years before. Supposed to track the beginning and end of the house effectively. I guess we kind of already saw the end, to be fair. In a way. I guess technically the end of the house is currently at the Night's Watch again, doing fuck all, because there's nothing to guard against.
There's nothing out there anymore. We killed them all.
What are you doing up there, John?
I'm just freezing.
I don't want it.
Lord have mercy. It's fucking stupid.
So yeah, it's going to be written by George R. Martin, and
man,
I don't know. I feel like he said something about how he's not. George R. Martin is involved in this in some capacity. I don't know if he's writing anything on it particularly, but he's definitely involved, at least in a producer role. I think he's supposed to be kind of heavily involved overall. Ryan Condal is going to be the showrunner. I think he's worked on Colony in the past for USA, I believe. And it's say Martin's listed as involvement. They've also said that Miguel Sapochnik, who directed quite a few episodes, including Battle of the Bastards and a couple crappy ones in the final season. I think he did The Last Night and The Bells. He's going to be directing the pilot and a couple other episodes in it, and he's going to be serving as co-showrunner with Ryan Condal. So
we'll see.
Again, I think that this lends itself to being something a little bit more interesting than the Long Night prequel that takes place thousands of years before. Now, at the same time, I think taking something that would have been so many years apart, I think would have been interesting because it could have felt really different. But then you throw in the whole White Walker thing, and I'm just like, so it's not different. They're just going to wear different clothes. You know what I mean? It's like kind of probably what that difference would have ultimately looked like. Whereas this one is going to be, I think it's going to be similar, in terms of feel and style and stuff like that.
Maybe a little bit high fantasy,
I think
a little bit more high fantasy with the dragons.
Yeah, I think as long as, kind of closer in tone and feel to the early seasons, that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to do more Game of Thrones. It was a bad thing to make bad Game of Thrones and like Game of Thrones that everyone hated. You know what I mean? So if you have Martin maybe writing the ship by giving them, feeding them the actual material, because that seems like that's where they went wrong, is when they went off book, then yeah, maybe there's something here. I mean, it's kind of an interesting move for HBO to just be like, let's can this one and then just greenlight this one in its entirety. Like, I don't know if they've seen something that makes them think it's a sure thing, or if it's literally just like a time crunch thing. Like, that's kind of worrisome for me overall. But if I had to pick between the two, and evidently they did, I would choose this one over the other one personally. So I don't know if you agree or disagree. I'll turn it over to you. Or you could just choose the third option of, I don't want it.
I don't want it. I don't know, man. You give me good things, I will enjoy good things.
This could be a good thing.
It could be a good thing.
It's hard to say. Is it gonna?
I'm curious to where the story begins.
It'll probably be better than the final season.
Does it begin?
Does it reach the heights of Game of Thrones?
Does it begin with the doom of Valyria? Does it begin with that?
I don't know. I
because
have no idea.
I think getting into that stuff is really cool. Getting into Valyria and stuff is awesome.
I should say I haven't read Fire and Blood, so I don't know.
We don't know. I don't know what.
Maybe
it's worth
a
little bit of a scoop because, like,
I think it's also a denser read because it reads more like a history book than a novel. I think it's kind of the style that Martin was trying to do. It was just like, and then this happened, and then this happened. Not,
and
this
I appreciate
so and so felt that way about it.
I don't necessarily need the story treatment that they had in Game of Thrones either. It would be cool to have a different kind of take on
feel.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? So if you did a like a bullet point kind of show, that'd be kind of cool. Just different offbeat stories about different Targaryens and stuff. That'd be kind of neat. There's all sorts of neat things you could do within the universe, but I don't want the same show told to me again through
right.
Like the prequel series was, or whatever. The other one that was canceled. I definitely don't want that.
Well, you're not getting it, so
I'm not getting it. I don't have to worry about it. But I don't know. Game of Thrones, man, it's still a thing, I guess. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, HBO's trying to make it a thing. So.
Can't blame them. I mean, it did.
No, can't blame them.
So
just wish if it's just insane to me. It's like you stick the landing. You'd be making 5 prequels, You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And everyone would be like,
prequels
give me all of the prequels and give me some sequels. Like this is really crazy how much they fucked it. Whether it's a they or whether it's a Benioff and Weiss, someone has to be culpable at some point, and it's really insane. Like they've lost so much goodwill as a result of that. In terms of that franchise, I think people still like HBO as a brand in general, but yeah. They really took a big hit from just kind of how things kind of unfolded, unfortunately. And ultimately we paid the price because we're the dumbasses that watched it.
I tell you what I'm excited to pay the price for.
Oh.
I will segue. That's a good segue point right there.
What price are you paying, and what are you paying it for?
I will pay the price of a ticket entry for Pixar's Soul.
Oh. Well, now.
I will.
Did this the teaser trailer that came out recently sell you?
It did. It looks pretty good. Kind of actually. I had a few beers and maybe a little glass of wine before I watched it. Before we recorded this episode, and I was really digging it. The trailer and everything. The dude stepped into a fucking manhole, and then it's his little soul down there. It's like, oh fuck, he died. They just showed you the death scene in the fucking trailer. I already started to get emotional a little bit. It's like, oh god. This looks really good. You digging it?
I am, and I am because I think that the first minute of this trailer, when it's the real world, I really, really like the visual style they're going for. I think it looks excellent.
Definitely.
I'm a little bit more excited about that aspect of the film than the soul aspect of that film.
Fair enough.
In terms of aesthetic and also just the cowboy joke wasn't great, I didn't think.
No,
it just felt like a weird, like a sharp turn that didn't need to be a sharp turn. And not even the sense of the premise. I think the premise it totally feels up Pixar's alley to do something like that. It just kind of felt like here's a mostly kind of serious, like something that feels like it's going to be like a really heartwarming kind of film, and then like, oh, here's some dumb comedy for you to like, and then logo. And
totally,
I was just like
100%.
Right, like I didn't think that needed the sharp turn. That could just be a marketing thing. I don't think that's necessarily reflective of what the film's going to be. But I just kind of felt like I was in. And then it kind of lost me a little bit there. I still think it looks really good. I'm definitely more excited about this one than I am about the other Pixar one, the elf one, whatever the fuck, where they're in the modern worlds, but they're elves, and so it's
that
fine.
kind of look like shit. Yeah, I'm
like that. That one to me doesn't feel like it has the Pixar magic. I'm sure they'll pull some shit out of their ass, and it'll be great. Just because Pixar, Cars aside, Pixar seems to usually do that. But this one to me feels like it's more vintage Pixar. Like it feels like, oh, this film's gonna fuck my day up. Like that's the sense I'm getting from this film, and I think that all in all, it will kind of come together and have that sort of resonance for it. I just kind of felt like it didn't need the cheap kind of parlor tricks of look at the funnies. You know what I mean?
Some humor in it, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't think it needed that, but I guess it was kind of a to kind of at least flag you of like, look,
Oh, this might have a little bit of kid
the movie's
movie
going to
a little
have a few different things going on in it, so just be cognizant of that. I think that was kind of the approach, but I think it's really, I mean, it looks really good. I think this is definitely, again, of those two immediately that gets me way more excited. So Jamie Foxx, I believe, is voicing the main character. I'm not sure who else is in the voice cast, but it's probably pretty good if I had to guess. Tina Fey's in it as well. It's directed by Pete Docter, who I think we talked about this on maybe the D23 episode. He's done a lot of stuff for Pixar in the past. He did Inside Out, which this definitely seems to share some, at least visual kind of feelings with. Up. I mean, come on, Monsters Inc. So I mean, he's a Pixar mainstay and one that's delivered, I think,
majority
every time.
Really good
So
shit, yeah.
So I really don't see why this would buck the trend overall. So it's cool to see him, with another project. I'm excited to see what he has in store for us overall. So I'm definitely on it as well. I'm willing to pay the price. I think that was the segue, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. June 19th, 2020. So half a year plus ish. So next summer though, that'll be a good summer film. Looking forward to it.
Yes.
I've got some more Game of Thrones news.
No, Jesus. Oh, okay.
Plot twist. All of my news is Game of Thrones related. No, I've got some Marvel Studios news for you. How's that for a change of pace? Is
That's
that okay?
good. Yeah, we can talk about a little bit of Marvel.
All right, well, we got some news, which is actually, I feel like this is kind of a double news in my personal opinion. I'll just give you the headline. Peyton Reed to direct Ant-Man 3. That's the headline.
Nice.
Peyton Reed has directed 2 films for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. So this is familiar territory for him. But I think what's kind of understated in this headline is the fact that, hey, we're getting a fucking Ant-Man 3, which to this point has not been announced. So I don't know if this is going to be a Phase 4, Phase 5 movie. How I don't know when they're expecting to film this thing. I assume it's probably at least a few years away if I had to guess. But I appreciate some continuity in terms of the directors. I like both Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. Almost certainly we'll be getting some more Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. Almost certainly we'll be getting more Evangeline Lilly as Hope Van Dyne.
And we're definitely game for that.
We'll probably get a lot more Michael Douglas. Probably get hopefully a lot more Michelle Pfeiffer. And this is presumably taking place in a post-Endgame universe in which Cassie's a little older, so maybe we'll get a little stature action as well. She might be suiting up for the good guys too. So it'll be kind of interesting to see where they go with this. And I'm excited. I think by the time theoretically by the time this comes out, we'll have had the first Marvel trilogy completed by the same director in the form of the Spider-Man trilogy under John Watts' leadership. We'll also have Guardians completing the trilogy before long as well with James Gunn. But it's just fun to see someone able to kind of see their vision through 3 movies. Now, of course, the first movie was derived from the Edgar Wright script, so it wasn't fully Peyton Reed, but I'm excited. I think this is good. I like the continuity again. I like Peyton Reed. I like what he's done. And I'm curious to see where they go because the Ant-Man movies have just been a ton of fun for me.
They've been super fun.
Nothing groundbreaking, I wouldn't say.
Just fun, good, wholesome fun.
But just good, fun, wholesome movies. And Paul Rudd is fucking great. So and Evangeline Lilly is fucking great too. So
Did you watch the Paul Rudd eating chicken wings?
I have not watched him on Hot Ones yet, I'm sad to say.
I recommend everyone tune in to Hot Ones. I deserve a paycheck here, Hot Ones. Be sure to send it to me. Or invite me out to eat chicken wings and interview the Watch, Review, Repeat crew. Both of those would be... yeah, definitely. We'll suck down some hot wings. Or some Hot Ones, I should say. But yes, definitely check out that episode there, because it's Paul Rudd in his glory.
He's on a Netflix show now, which I think he was promoting on that Hot Ones episode. Where
That's right.
He gets cloned at some sort of spa or something like that.
I haven't seen it, but he was there promoting it, and it was definitely it was a really good interview. I really enjoyed it.
Question for you:
Yes.
What could be better than one Paul Rudd?
And 2 Paul Rudds.
2 Paul Rudds. That's correct. That's absolutely correct. Thank you, sir. So anyway, yeah, Ant-Man 3. A few years down the line, but
It's
happy
coming.
to see that it's happening. What will it be called? I don't know. That's the real tricky part. Ant-Man and the Wasp and blank, or Ant-Man 3. If Ant-Man 3 feels too basic, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'd be curious to see how they handle that. Because I
They
feel
definitely
like
handled Ant-Man and the Wasp really well, though. I thought that was an awesome deal.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what they do. I feel like that guy's got a good sense of style, and I think he fits the mold perfectly. I think so.
Yeah, and I know he was I think he wanted to do Fantastic Four way back in the day for Fox, and
That would have been cool.
I'd be willing to bet that he has been talks with Feige and company about doing a new Fantastic Four.
I feel like he'd nail it.
But I feel like this kind of takes him out of the running, because I feel like they're going to want to get Fantastic Four on track, roughly in the same time frame as this movie. So I feel like that might be in different hands, but I do feel like his sensibilities would be good for that. Yeah.
See what happens.
But anyway, we'll see what happens. Absolutely. Yeah. What do you got?
Scoob. Out of nowhere, Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Reggie.
Yeah. That was good. Out of nowhere, we get a Scooby-Doo trailer.
Like, zoinks.
You a big fan of Scooby-Doo?
I love Scooby-Doo. One of my favorite cartoons in general.
But not your favorite live-action series?
Well, I wouldn't say that those two movies are excellent. No, the two live-action Scooby-Doos. Like,
what about the cartoon Scooby-Doo that came out was a movie about the werewolves? You remember that?
I do.
I remember that one vividly. That shit was awesome.
No, and I haven't watched any Scooby-related content in years now. But yeah, when I was younger, I ate up all the Scooby content, TV show, the movies that they always put on. Like, I watched a lot of Scooby-Doo in my day.
I watched a lot of Scooby-Doo as well.
And I love Scooby-Doo.
But the bullshit like kid Scooby-Doos, I didn't like those.
Yeah.
I feel like they were a little beyond us. I think they were different era Scooby-Doo, like Scooby-Doo Junior or whatever the fuck it was, but it was not very good.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But classic Scooby-Doo, Hanna-Barbera Scooby-Doo, I can vouch for, absolutely.
Definitely.
Some good shit. Is this some good shit, though? What do you think?
Sarah says this one looks cute.
I think that's probably true. I think it does look cute.
It looks like a good story. It looks like a good story about a boy and his dog.
I think it's just a different iteration of Scooby-Doo, and I think you kind of just have to take it for what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's not your grandpappy's Scooby-Doo. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different. Like, I don't know, like, the things that bother me are, I'm just like, oh, am I just the old man yelling at a cloud right now? Or I'm like, oh, the voice cast is weird. I don't like the voice cast because they don't sound like they should. Like, that's like kind of one of my first reactions. I'm like, why is Scooby speaking in full sentences? This is weird.
Yeah, no, it's totally
like
fair.
There's just little things like that. I like the style. I think the style looks pretty good. I think in terms of
good.
like kind of translating the cartoon aesthetic to a 3D medium, like they did a really good job.
Totally.
Yes, I think it looks pretty good from that perspective. The character designs are pretty faithful. They feel on point. They feel accurate to what they originated as.
I didn't feel like there was a good mystery. I didn't feel like there was a good grounded mystery to this.
It felt like what's the mystery?
They get abducted by aliens, which is like it felt like a real thing. Like they're fucking abducted by real aliens. They float off.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Because it has to be a fake alien with a guy that you can just pull his mask off, right? Otherwise, it's not Scooby-Doo.
Exactly. That's the whole thing about Scooby-Doo. And I feel like they're really rocking the boy and his dog theme in the first third of the 2/3 of the trailer. It was a boy and his dog and how he met his dog and this and that, and which is cute. It's nice. It feels like a good wholesome cartoon story, but I don't know if it necessarily feels like Scooby-Doo. But then again, the people that this is appealing to, maybe they don't know Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, and this could be kind of a like a modern reimagining of Scooby-Doo. Trying to hit on kind of the same key points that everyone loves Scooby-Doo for, unless you're a monster and you don't love Scooby-Doo, in which case stop listening. Goodbye.
That's it. We don't want you here.
We don't serve your kind.
That's it. we don't take them here.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely. I think it's definitely. I mean, look, Scooby-Doo is a kid's show, obviously. You know what I mean? But like this, I don't know. You know, I still feel like maybe it's just virtue of us being adults and now we're no longer really the target audience.
It's like
maybe
if your parents have like a Yogi Bear, like if your parents had like a Yogi Bear remake.
Didn't they make a live action one of those?
Yeah, and I feel like maybe your parents probably detest that shit. Like, oh, that's the biggest steaming pile of garbage. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's quite that egregious, but yeah, I think it's probably along the same lines.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is a steaming pile of garbage. I just think it's different, and you have to take it for what it is.
Like, it's not the thing, you know, and you're like, oh, I like the thing, but this is not the thing.
This is not the thing.
Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just not the thing.
I just hope that they hold true on what the thing really is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There were staples to Scooby-Doo. Like you say, it's got to be somebody not really being an alien, but it certainly seems like real fucking aliens. So
some old guy that showed up halfway through the movie and, you know, seemed to be seemingly innocuous, but not so much as it turns out.
It's really the monster, you know? So I guess we'll see what happens, but...
And he would have gotten away for these fucking meddling fucking kids.
Yeah, that's it. Rated R. The Scooby-Doo's done grown up.
Well, so the thing that's so fascinating to me is you brought up the live action ones. The first one was written by James Gunn.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like an adult kind of riff on Scooby-Doo, and there's like elements of that kind of weirdly still in the movie, where like I think it's like Shaggy's on the plane and like, what's your girlfriend's name? And he's like Mary Jane, and everyone, you know, if you're a kid, it just flies over your head, and then you think about that, and you're like, wait, hold on a second.
Yeah, Shaggy's totally a stoner.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You know, like there's little things like that, and I think that they ended up kind of either changing the script a little bit before they shot it or kind of changing it in post because they were just like, oh, it's kind of weird if we just make like a weirdly adult Scooby-Doo, which, yeah, it is. But it
would have totally been cool, though. I mean, that was like the whole premise with Shaggy. Shaggy and Scooby were totally just stoners trying to eat everything, you know?
Yeah,
it's
right.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway, that's Scooby-Doo.
This is not that. This is definitely not an adult version of Scooby-Doo. But it could be totally fine. May 2020 release date. Another one, maybe we'll see. We'll find out. Last bit of news for me. You ready for it?
Do it.
What's up, Danger? Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse getting a sequel.
Nice.
And it's coming out April 8th, 2022.
And
are
you going to mention it?
I don't know what you're going to mention.
I think you should mention what you think I'm going to mention.
Well, I don't know if it's what you're going to mention because I don't know what you're thinking. But I believe that Lord Miller, who are going to be back to produce this film, have talked about bringing in the Japanese Spider-Man into this movie.
That is definitely not what I was going to mention.
Okay, that's the only thing that I could think of.
I was going to mention how we got fucking called out from the fucking Spider-Verse on their Twitter account, which is cool as shit. Made me feel famous. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
You don't know what I'm talking about? You sent me a picture of it.
Are you talking about what I tweeted from their account?
Maybe I just don't know how Twitter works. Maybe I'm really embarrassing. I don't know. I thought that we referenced something about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and then they commented on what we talked about.
I feel like that didn't happen unless I just missed something.
I thought you sent it to me in a text message.
I definitely retweeted their announcement of the release date and put "What's Up, Danger" as a caption. So I don't know if we're just crossing signals here. But
I probably just don't know how Twitter works. That's probably
also possible. I do run the Twitter account for Watch Review Repeat for those who are not aware. Because I don't do a great job of it, but I do my best. You know, it's an honest day's work.
Oh shit! I had to find it. So continue to talk. Why search?
Well, there's not a whole lot more to add on this. I guess I'll follow up on what I said. I think someone tweeted at Lord Miller being like, add the live action Japanese Spider-Man. Like I think the 70s or something like that, you cowards, and they're just like, okay, or something like that. So I think they may be bringing. I think they're going to get weird with it, even weirder than even the first one did. I feel like 2099 is a lock. I'd love to see them bringing in the movie versions of Spider-Man. Get your Tobey Maguires, even your Andrew Garfields, Tom Holland's in that. I think it'd be pretty cool.
So I totally just don't know how Twitter works.
Are you looking at it now?
Yeah, so I'm looking at it now. I thought you said, "What's up, Danger?" and then Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse replied to our page.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
2022. I'm like, holy shit. That's why I actually said no way. The response to that was no way in all caps with an exclamation point. And then I think I replied, smoking, I think is what I said. Because I was pumped up. I thought we got replied to by major movie company, but that's actually not what happened.
No, unfortunately, we have not reached that level of traction. I wish we had. No, it was actually quite the opposite. It was me reacting to the big company and just not getting acknowledged at all. It's fine. But yeah, April 8th, 2022. I know Sony earned a lot of goodwill with me in terms of this movie, in spite of all the other trash that they have made or are continuing to make. I'm excited to see what they do with the sequel. You know, it sounds like they're keeping the team together, which is good. So, yeah, let's see what happens with returning to the Spider-Verse.
And I have some cool news for you. The last bit of news for the night.
Oh.
And it's not a trailer.
Oh.
Yeah, so Andy Serkis, who has been known to play a bunch of CG characters like Schmeagol, not necessarily Schmeagol, but Golem, and his name's
Caesar.
Caesar, yes, the monkey, yes, the chip.
No!
Yes, epic performances from Andy Serkis. He also directed Jungle Book on the Netflix, I think.
Whatever that one was called.
Mowgli, I
believe.
didn't see that one.
Didn't either.
But
Still on Netflix if you ever want to be fair.
Him and Colin
Supreme Leader
Farrell,
Snoke.
most known for his role as Bullseye in Daredevil.
More peanuts, please. I never miss.
Yeah, so that's him and Colin Farrell are in talks to join the Batman. I think Andy Serkis is supposed to be playing Alfred Pennyworth. Mm-hmm. And Colin Farrell is supposed to be playing the Penguin from what little bit I've read.
Yeah, that's right. Both of those are right.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
Interesting. Well, I guess
Definitely
what's-his-face decided he didn't want to be... excuse me. What's-his-face decided...
Jonah Hill was just like, no, I'm not being the fucking Penguin. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So I guess Colin Farrell said, well, I'll take a paycheck. And so he's there.
More paychecks, please.
More paychecks, please. Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. You know, I would like to see a
How
DC...
old is Andy Serkis?
He's got to be probably, what?
50s?
Mid-50s? I'd say mid-50s.
55. Okay. That looks pretty good for 55.
Is he 55?
Yeah. I just looked it up.
Damn, I just nailed that. I said mid-50s. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Colin Farrell's got to be, what, late 40s?
Oh, I'd say so, yeah. Also looks good for his age, certainly.
Let's see. See what the Goog says.
Colin Farrell is 43.
Early 40s, yeah. All right, so...
Still looks really good for 43.
Absolutely.
Let's not kid ourselves.
I think it'd be great to see a Batman movie earn $1 billion for portraying Batman. Like just a Batman movie about Batman, good Batman movie that earns $1 billion. Compared to the Joker, what's supposed to cross $1 billion, and it really kind of just doesn't really portray a whole lot of Joker. I think that would be cool. And that was shots fired at the Joker, by the way. That's what that was. Bang, bang.
I was going to say, man, we've had Batman movies that have made... I feel like The Dark Knight crossed $1 billion, if I'm not mistaken.
Did it? Maybe it did.
I think it did.
Maybe
I think it did.
Probably did.
At least The Dark... And Begins did not, and I'm not sure if... I think Rises might have fallen just short, but I feel like The Dark Knight might have hit that, just the $1 billion worldwide threshold.
That would have been good.
But it would be the only one, apparently, besides Joker, inevitably, to have done that. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. This sounds way more fucking appealing to me than Joker ever sounded and turned out to be. You know,
yeah,
takes,
it's ranking up,
obviously. But
they just cast another. They just cast another. They just released another casting news on this thing.
Did they?
Today? Yeah, a young black girl. I didn't catch her name.
Do you have any idea what role, or is it just kind of like a?
Well, I was thinking maybe. I was thinking Commissioner Gordon's daughter. Is what I was thinking when I first saw it, because Commissioner Gordon's supposed to be the dude from Westworld.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright.
Added another intriguing new character. Here we go, Gizmodo. I don't know how good that is, but it's the first one that popped up, so I'm clicking on it. And Jamie Lawson.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. Up and coming actress, recently graduated from Juilliard, which is I don't know who she is, but she's apparently landed a role. Doesn't even have an IMDb page yet. How about them apples? That's a fucking good for her.
But I could. She looks like she could totally be. I don't know.
Like a Barbara Gordon.
Yeah, I could totally see it. That was my first thoughts. I don't know if it's released on who she's going to be playing, but that was my first.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's interesting. I don't even know if they try to bring in Babs or not. So
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. That's cool.
Oh, here we go. Has learned Lawson is playing a character named Bella, a grassroots political candidate running for office in Gotham.
Okay, so it's kind of maybe more like a made for the movie kind of role from the sounds of it. Doesn't remind me of anyone from the comics, at least as far as I'm concerned. But I think just general commentary, pulling it back a little bit. Andy Serkis, interesting take for Alfred, not who I would have picked. 55. I mean, he's I think 20-ish years older than Robert Pattinson, so it's age appropriate. It makes sense for sure. But I feel like there's definitely been a trend more towards a younger, more active, more involved Alfred with Jeremy Irons most recently, and
I thought Jeremy Irons could. I thought he was.
No, he was
cool.
good.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot. In that role, and fuck it, I liked Ben Affleck as Batman. Like, they were not the problem with Batman v Superman. You know what I mean? So, no, I like that. I like kind of the idea of a younger, more kind of into it Alfred, as opposed to your Michael Caine's and your Alfred Goffs and stuff that you got earlier.
If there's anything wrong with Michael Caine fucking Pennyworth. Michael Caine owned that shit.
No, I'm not saying that. I just mean it's just kind of an older, more kind of
the tangerine.
Detached. I saw a tangerine the size of a tangerine. The bandit had been the tangerine.
So good. Michael Caine. I don't know if anybody can replace him. I don't think it, I feel like it's like the James Bond. I need somebody to break me out. Attempt to break me out of who my Batman is. You know what I mean? Because I feel like every generation has their own James Bond. I feel like
and Bale is your Batman,
and Bale's my Batman,
and supporting cast
included,
right?
That's my Batman.
I hear you.
Yeah, so
I liked Batfleck. I liked Jeremy Irons. If they were the benefactors of being in better movies, then maybe it could have been it.
It definitely could have been. Older Batman, older.
Just didn't happen. I think it makes more sense to do a younger Batman at this point, especially since you did Batfleck, where it was just like, oh, this is a Batman that's been around for 20 years. It's kind of an interesting way to go.
He just fucking kills people.
But they didn't do anything with it, like, particularly exciting.
And he brands people as well.
Yeah, he was also a murdering psychopath, so there is that. I mean, Bale Batman definitely killed some people, but I didn't think he reveled in it, I wouldn't say, so... It's a little bit different.
I don't wear hockey pants.
Yeah, he didn't wear hockey pads, that's for sure. Colin Farrell, not who I would have pegged for the Penguin, but obviously we're getting, I think, a very different take than certainly that we got.
The Penguin doesn't necessarily need to
Danny
be
DeVito.
a 4 foot.
No, not at all. Like, and a lot of comics takes are very, very different than that. And I feel like, your Tim Burton types are just like, what's this guy's game? The Penguin? All right, he's got flippers for hands. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So, crime boss named the Penguin.
I feel
like
this
cool.
is a very kind of different take, probably intentionally. So, So, anyway,
I hope he has
could be worse.
I hope he has.
Could be gushing blood from your nose.
Massive beak, though.
We got a big honker.
Big honker, big prosthetic nose right on Colin Farrell's face. I'd love it.
All right. Well.
All right. That's our news for this week.
Folks. And that's the news. We had a bit to cover since we'd gone a couple weeks without recording, but that brings us to the main event: Terminator: Dark Fate, written by David Goyer, Justin Rose, and Billy Ray.
Billy Ray Cyrus. Get the full name in there.
Oh, I think it might have been a different Billy Ray. I could be wrong, but I don't know. We'll find. I don't. We'll credit Billy Ray Cyrus. He was
Billy
also
Ray Cyrus say, "My achy breaky heart."
Yeah, don't break his heart. His achy breaky heart.
And I would say some characters in this movie have achy breaky hearts.
Maybe he was trying to infuse a little bit of his own heart into this movie, you might say, in the screenwriting process. It was directed by Tim Miller. Stars Linda Hamilton, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mackenzie Davis, Natalia Reyes, and Gabriel Luna. In Terminator Dark Fate, an advanced Terminator is sent from the future to eliminate a target whose fate is connected to the future, but meets resistance from a hardened Siracana and an augmented soldier also sent back in time. Oh, it's so badass, dude.
So original. So incredibly original.
What, have you heard this story before?
I think I've heard this story fucking 6 times.
Well, I'll ask you about that in just a second. Let's talk about the box office, because you better set off the Bomba alert. We've got a Bomba on our hands.
Oh, you're going for the bomb.
Yeah. Oh, this thing tanked. It did actually get number one for the weekend, though. I will give it that much credit. It made $29 million in its opening weekend. Stands, close to 2 weeks in at $48.4 million domestically, with a worldwide total of $199.4 million. Now you're saying, but Colton, how is that a Bomba? Why did you set off the Bomba alert? Well, my friends, this had a $185 million production budget for some fucking reason. Not sure where it went to be honest. But it is standing. This is standing to lose around $100 million for Paramount, I guess. I don't even know who made this movie.
We need to open up a CG studio. Because they get paid absurd amounts of money, and apparently you don't need to be Picasso with this shit.
You don't need to be very good at job, is what you're saying?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean. Like, there's good movies with bad CG in it, so it's not like it's a marker of like a bad film or anything like that. It's not all CG. You're saying, all right, well, I guess we'll talk about that momentarily. But
I mean, no, it's not. It's not all part of the CG. Like a bad movie is not dictated by the computer graphics or anything. But
no. But, anyway, this is a bomb. This is not going to make money. This is going to lose money. This could perhaps be the end of the Terminator franchise. Maybe something we'll talk about as we get into
James
things.
Cameron
But let's go ahead and... well, we know he has capital. Let's get into things. You say you might have seen this movie 6 times before. Why do you say that?
Well, it's like the same Terminator movie ever told, right? I mean, like that's the premise of every Terminator movie ever told.
Yeah. It's Terminator, but
now my original fun fact,
very slight different wrinkle.
Yeah,
the original fun fact. Okay,
actually, I think it's not really a spoiler. I'll say it, and then you can edit it out if it's the case. But this is a sequel to Terminator 2.
No, they've talked about that. Yeah, it ignores the events of 3 through 5.
3 through 5. 3 through 5 also told a similar story about a futuristic robot sent back in time to alter the past, to alter the future.
I would push back on 4. Salvation did not. That actually took place in the future. It was bad for other reasons, I would say.
Is that the one with Sam Washington or Sam Wellington or whatever his name is?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Christian Bale with his infamous, don't you dare trash my fucking lights rant. Which justifies that movie's existence, if I'm being entirely honest.
Fucking amateurs!
Fucking amateurs! I walk around the set like, da-da-da-da-da.
Pissed.
You and me were fucking done professionally.
So good. Anyways.
The fuck are you doing?
Pissed. Pissed. Unbelievably pissed. Like Russell Crowe pissed. Russell Crowe Gladiator pissed. That's what I'm saying. How do you
fucking distracting.
How do you embody the role of these badass characters and not get pissed at fucking everything? You know what I'm saying? Like if I was a major badass on set and I had to play a fucking badass, I would just throw everything all the time. I'd just be an asshole to everybody. How do you not do it?
I don't know.
Like, apparently you can't do it.
Escape
Apparently
that trap.
you fucking have to do it.
Again.
So this movie...
Dark Fate.
Dark Fate. This movie is... it's got some kinetic... what's my word I'm looking for?
Energy?
Choreography.
Action?
Yes, choreography. There's kinetic choreography with the fight scenes, which feels pretty cool in certain sequences. Obviously, Arnold Schwarzenegger is in it, and I like the. So he plays like a outdated robot, which is pretty cool, and I think he does that very well. I think they did a really good job with just conveying the fact that he's a lumbering fucking massive thing, which is cool. They did a cool job with what's her name? Is it Mackenzie Davis?
Yeah, Grace.
Yeah, so Grace is like an augmented soldier.
Augmented soldier.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the her dynamic and how she has been augmented and what her abilities were. I thought that was kind of cool. I did think that the what do they call it? Like the Rex 8 or Rex 9 or Tech 9 or whatever.
Rev 9.
Rev 9.
The new Terminator.
I thought the new Terminator was kind of fucking... Like, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. Like, in the future, they seemed cool. Because they
well, it's like the T800 and the T1000, except it can do both, right? Isn't that kind of the idea? You got the endoskeleton and you've got the liquid version as well.
Yeah,
so it can split off, and
it was kind of like an Edge of Tomorrow kind of aesthetic in the future, which was pretty cool with like the fucking it was like shooting off with like needles and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm getting into spoiler territory, maybe a little bit.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that was kind of cool. But like in modern times, it was just like, hey, like I have like two. I got like, huh?
You didn't get any of that for most of this movie. All you got was that in the future sequences of it kind of being a little bit crazier with its
right. Which that was
maybe that was a different model. I don't fucking know. It wasn't explained, was it?
No, well, it wasn't. But that future sequences were pretty cool. You catch a little bit of it in certain sequences in modern times, but most of the time it was like, hey, now you're just fighting two robots. Which was, I don't know, just seemed kind of lame a little bit, I think. There were some really stupid parts, and the movie was overly long. It felt probably a good hour too long, I would say. Like, it was just fucking...
I mean, it's not an hour too long, because otherwise I would make it like basically just an hour plus, but I would say it definitely dragged.
Is that what it was? Because it felt like I was in that theater forever. It was fucking long. It felt so long.
I have thoughts on that.
Okay, yeah. The callbacks and the hallmarks of the previous movies were pretty cool. If you're like a Terminator fan, I'm not the biggest Terminator fan, but I did recognize like the callbacks and stuff.
Sabotage systems.
Yeah, Arnold. Listen, out of everybody in the movie, Arnold stole the fucking show. Arnold was great. I really enjoyed Arnold's presence in the movie, and I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's just like, hey, I really like Arnold, or if he just commands the fucking camera when he's on it. But he's awesome. I really enjoyed his presence anytime he was on frame, or in the frame. So I don't know. I really enjoyed him. But I don't know how much more I really enjoyed besides some action sequences and besides Arnold. The length of the movie or the dragging really took me out of it. Like I thought I was sitting there for far too long. And a lot of it was kind of stupid. So that's what I got. What do you got, dude?
Well, I think just to kind of tack on to what you're saying about the pacing, I feel like it drags just because it's very repetitive in terms of its structure. Like it's chase action, chase action, chase action. Like that's the movie, and kind of but none of it's particularly interesting, and I think that works for probably about an hour before you just realize, oh, they're just doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah,
I'm bored now. I feel like that's kind of what happens.
Change the set piece.
Why it starts to feel.
Change the set piece, right?
Like I feel like it starts to wear out its welcome pretty early. Probably about an hour in, I would say. I don't think this is like a bad film. This it's just an unnecessary film for me. Like, you know, it's just, it doesn't add anything new to the franchise. In fact, it thrives in just rehashing everything yet again. You know, it's just like, we had T3, which is Terminator 2 except worse, with a cool ending. And then you had 4, which kind of changed it up but sucked for other reasons. And then you had 5, which was absolute fucking dog shit. But it was also still kind of doing the same thing over again. And this one is just like, it's different, but it's not. It's like, you know, the reason that things happen are different, but it's the same fucking movie. But again, just a worse version of it. And it's just kind of just like, I don't need this. I don't need any of this. You know what I mean? Like, the Terminator franchise, it's like, I don't know, like, they just can't get it right. Like, it's weird. Like, the first Terminator is kind of like this basically horror film in its own sort of way.
Yeah, totally.
Thriller, maybe. And then T2 is a full-blown action movie.
That was cool as shit.
It changed up the genre, you know, and it was excellent. Maybe one of the best action films of all time. And then 3 comes around, you know, 10 plus years later, and it's just like, we don't have any original ideas, so we'll just do the same thing and see what happens. And it's just like, look, it's not the worst movie ever made, but like, do something interesting with it. And at least Salvation, you know, for all its flaws, at least tried, and then they've like, oh, that didn't work, so let's just go do the same thing again. And like, this to me felt like it could have had an opportunity to get to break from that cycle, from the Genesis cycle of like, we'll do the same thing. And like, it seemed like they were framing it as being something different, but it's the same fucking movie.
It's the same thing. Yes.
It's the same fucking movie. And like, it's like, no, but it's not Skynet this time. And I'm like, yeah, but it's the same fucking movie.
This is the biggest fucking cop out I've ever seen. Oh, it's not Cybernet. No, it's this other company.
Yeah, it's like we changed things, but things are still, you know, like, I don't know, like, I just kind of felt like it, you know, like, to really make an effective sequel, you have to do something that,
and it kind of shits on,
that changes it up a little bit.
It kind of shits on 1 and 2.
Oh, in the same, this shits on 2 in a big fucking way, which we'll talk about in spoilers.
Yeah, I mean,
and some people probably knew about that already, but like, it's just, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. Like it didn't add anything really new other than just being like, oh, this Terminator is a little bit different. You know, instead of having the ability to make its boobs bigger, it can turn into 2 people instead of 1. You know what I mean? Like, that's its new ability. And, you know, instead of Kyle Reese just being a regular ass dude that, you know,
couldn't feel pain.
You know, like, we've got this badass chick that can come back, and, you know, she's kind of like a Terminator, but not quite. You know, she's an enhanced human. I'm like, okay,
that's kind of cool.
A little bit of a different wrinkle.
Yeah.
You know, she's a little bit more durable. She can kind of, you know, keep a little bit more toe-to-toe with the Terminator. Like, that's cool, and it makes for good action sequences. I definitely agree with that. But it's not enough. You know what I mean? It's not enough to radically alter this film in any sort of way. And any sort of little wrinkles that they try to add on basically the formula of the chosen one or blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just like, well, it doesn't really fundamentally change anything about this movie. It's still the same movie.
And I feel like there was a section in there that was totally shoehorned. Remind me to talk about it in spoilers.
I feel like I have something that I want to say about something being shoehorned, but I just feel like it was bad writing, and I don't know if it's the same thing. So maybe there's 2 examples. I'm not sure if it's what you're going for. I don't know. Like, again, it's not in a bubble like the worst movie ever. Like, it's not a horrible movie, and in some ways it's probably better than I think what the trailers indicated it was going to be. But it's still nothing. I think overall, I think that's my biggest complaint, is it's just nothing. It's just nothing new. It's not particularly horrible for what it is and for what it's trying to be. I think Arnold's great. Arnold's always great. He's always great. And Lena Hamilton, it's nice to see her back as like a hardened, badass Sarah Connor, you know, kind of more of what we saw and things we haven't seen since T2 with her. It's fun. She's fun in this movie. Again, didn't change anything meaningfully. Mackenzie Davis is good in this movie. And Talia Reyes is good in this movie. Gabriel Luna is a pretty fun Terminator. Like no one's bad in this movie, I wouldn't say. It's just not new. It's just not, there's nothing novel about this movie, and there's nothing about this movie that excites me.
And if this was the
maybe
first
I was just
entry
being
in
a
the
pessimist
franchise,
walking in, but like, it's just like,
say for example, this is your first Terminator movie you've ever seen.
Well, then don't watch this movie first, because that's a bad idea. But like, it's just for me, Terminator just is a franchise that they just clearly don't have a direction that they can go in. Like, at this point, like they've tried a few angles and most of them have fucked up. And for me, I still feel like the future sequences are probably kind of where you should have gone with this franchise if you hadn't, you know, screwed the pooch on it. because it feels like the only fresh way to move in. Like, because it's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how you make a Terminator sequel. In my opinion, maybe you just shouldn't. Maybe you should just stop while you're ahead, you know, with T2. But I can safely say that this isn't it.
There's a world of possibilities with killer fucking robots.
I'll tell you what. Sarah Connor Chronicles, a TV show, lower budget, obviously. It still continues to be the best post T2 sequel related content we've ever had, as far as Terminator is concerned.
What was their angle in that?
I mean, it's it's still a Terminator that comes in, from the future to assassinate whoever. But it feels a little bit more immediate, to T2. It recasts everyone. It has Lena Headey, has Cersei. She plays Sarah Connor in it. It was good, and it kind of dovetailed between both the present at that point, which was like mid 2000s, and the future. And you got some new Terminators in there, and you got a few new angles. It's been a while since I've seen it. I just remember liking it and thinking like, oh, this is actually pretty good for like what it is. And then it got prematurely canceled, and so be it. It's TV. It's how it goes. But I don't know. I mean, the nicest thing I can say about this movie is I think it's pretty well shot, at least in terms of the action sequences. I wouldn't say anything particularly stands out to me visually apart from that.
There's some bad CG that stands out to me.
There's definitely some bad CG that stands out.
They fixed some of the bad CG, though. I think they fixed some of the CG from the trailers.
Some of it they did, and I would say others they did not. I think in general it doesn't look like a $200 million movie, I think, overall.
No, definitely not.
It looks, I would say, about half of that, just based from the looks of it. You know what I mean?
I'd agree.
Like, if I guessed it, I'd say $100 million. Like, they clearly spent some money on the CG, but they clearly needed more money. And that is still evidently true. But I just wish there was something to this that was compelling, on its own merits. Like, the only thing I think that makes it mildly interesting is the things that have already been done before and were done better previous to this. Like, it's just like it doesn't take any of those aspects and do them better in any sort of way. It's not like a reboot that picks up on some elements. We talked about Evil Dead, and like the reboot's a different movie from like the original, especially its sequels, but at least it was trying
fresh.
To do something different and fresh and a little bit different with it, and taking it in a little bit of a different direction. And this is just like their idea of a new direction is just changing, like Control find Skynet and Control replace Legion. Like that's their idea of new. And it's
it
just
makes you wonder who's pulling the fucking levers and flipping the switches on this sort of stuff. Because I think as an IP in general, I think there's a whole world of possibilities where you could take this stuff to.
Yeah.
You're sending robots, you got time travel, you got killer robots, you have, that's pretty much what you got. You got time travel and got killer robots. You got world domination from the fucking robots. There's so much shit you could do. So much shit.
Yeah, or you could just make the same movie 6 times in a row.
Yeah, and that's where it feels like a cop-out, because that's exactly what they did. They just made the same movie again, but it was not of the same quality. And if you want to remake it, you want to totally reboot the series, don't make it a sequel, just reboot the series, you could do that. And just
right. And I think you could.
You could totally do that.
I would not personally, but yeah, I think you could.
You totally could, and then you could have a fresh start, and you could take it in whatever direction you want to go to from where you rebooted it from, and that would have been cool too. At this point, you're gonna feed me a Terminator movie, feed me something decent, and if you want to create a new place for me to start, then that's what it is. And that's okay. I think that's okay. I would take that. Just like the Evil Dead stuff. I'd take a totally fresh view on the Evil Dead. I'd take it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It feels like let's make another Terminator movie. And that's exactly what they did. They just made another Terminator movie of the same vein, I feel like. Yeah. So
and you know what? It doesn't.
And apparently the box office shows that people have obviously watched this movie before, because not everybody's going to pay to watch it again.
The box office shows that there is a dark fate indeed for the Terminator franchise, I would say. I was just going to say, I just feel very nice for those that cannot see the webcams, i.e. everyone that is listening to this. Andrew just did the Terminator 2 thumbs up from the T-800 as he slowly descends into the lava. I was just gonna say, I mean, clearly, I don't know, man. James Cameron just has some sort of fucking magic touch with shit like this. Like he did it with Aliens. I think he did it with T2, where he kind of, I mean, he obviously did the first Terminator as well. Like he knows how to make sequels that aren't the same.
They revitalize the series,
different, and,
right?
You know, and like take things in a different direction. And like, you know, T2, I can't remember exactly how they marketed it because I'm not sure that I was alive for the marketing particularly. No, I wasn't alive for the release of the film, so I was definitely not alive for the marketing of the film. But I feel like it was like a huge twist when it came out that, oh no, Arnold's the good guy this time. Like, that's awesome. And like, you could have sold this movie in a way that you kind of kept some of the surprises, but the trailers told you this entire movie in a way, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like in terms of any sort of real surprises, the trailer is pretty forthcoming about them. But they're not surprising really either. You know what I mean? There's maybe one major surprise in terms of an appearance that I don't think you would know from the trailers, but also it's pretty fucking insulting. And again, we'll get into in spoilers, but
even if you didn't know the reveal, like for example, the Arnold reveal, even if you didn't know that Arnold was going to be in the movie, right? Like, it just, I don't know, it just feels like he melted in a fucking vat of lava in the second movie. I don't know. We'll talk about it in spoilers, I guess. We need to move to spoilers.
Yeah, well, I'd say last complaint about just non-spoilers is that no Brad Fiedel means the score is not up to snuff as far as Terminator is concerned, because I don't know, man, the score to me is so iconic in the first two movies, and I didn't get any sense of that in this one. That was disappointing.
No, I mean, was there a score? There was a score, but
there was. I mean, and there was a few times where they leaned into like the, but it was just like, nah, I'm good. This doesn't like, it didn't have the same sort of impact on me. So yeah, let's get into recommendation, and then we can proceed into spoilers. What do you have? What do you have for this one?
Stream it.
On the old recommendation scale. Stream it?
I don't think it's bad enough to where you need to pay somebody free to watch it.
No. It's, again, I don't think it's a bad movie, like a quote-unquote bad movie. I've seen much worse movies than this.
This is like a catch it on cable kind of deal, catch it on FX, or stream it, or something like that. Watch it for something you're already paying for, is what I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Streaming is probably the way I would go with this.
Hotel movie, for sure.
Yeah, I'm hard-pressed to see myself buying this at any point. Not even in the bargain bin, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It's just not any, like, it's just not anything new. Like I saw this once. I was bored about halfway through. I'm like, I've seen this movie, except this is a worse version of that. I'm good, thanks. And I'm just kind of like, I can't think of a reason to revisit this film. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't think of anything that really
there's nothing else for you there.
So compelling about this film, you know. And yeah, like, it's cool again to see Linda Hamilton back. It's cool to see Arnold, you know, doing it again, even though he's been in all these fucking movies technically. Okay. I'll just watch T1 and T2. You know, like, it's just like, I just don't need this. I just don't need this film. I didn't need this film. I thought it looked bad from the trailers, and what I got was just nothing. It was just nothing, you know, bottom line. So, but nothing is better than bad, I suppose. So I guess by virtue of that, you know, streaming is, I think, probably the proper choice, at least the choice that I would probably tend towards, because you could do worse. And you might find some enjoyment in this. You know, it's got some good action pieces in it. You know, I feel like they did do a good job with the action, particularly.
In 95% of the cases, I think.
Yeah, maybe there's a 5% you're thinking of. Nothing stands out to me as being like egregiously bad, but maybe there's something I'm forgetting. It's just that's not enough. It's just not enough, I don't think. So yeah, streaming is going to be the way to go for me. Let's dive into spoilers. Let's do full spoilers for Terminator Dark Fate. I I figured we should probably just talk about the beginning of the film to get that out of the way. When they give us the Alien 3 treatment of John Connor, which is it's a bold move, Cotton, you might say, to shotgun down John Connor within 2 minutes of this film. And not any John Connor, but a digital recreation of Edward Furlong in his childhood prime. The T2 Judgment Day John Connor. I don't know. It was weird. It was a weird choice.
It was weird. Everybody seemed to have like a glassy glow around them. It was a weird CG kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't think the de-aging was great. I thought it looked best on Linda Hamilton overall. It didn't look great on whoever they had playing John Connor, and they probably just did the digital face replacement. Arnold didn't look great either, I didn't think. I don't know. I feel like it's just a bad narrative choice overall. Like it really.
Oh, so you know that movie you watched 20 years ago? Well, shit on that.
Yeah, it's just an immediate fuck you in the same way that killing off, Hicks and Newt was in Alien 3, of just being like, yeah, well, we couldn't afford Michael Biehn and that kid anymore, so fuck him. You know what I mean? Like Edward Furlong's a little out of shape these days, so fuck him. It kind of. I don't know. Like, I guess they kind of wanted to have a Sarah Connor that was, battle hardened and even more than she was in T2, that didn't have a John with her, but it didn't do anything interesting narratively either, I didn't think, other than make her hate Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie, which I didn't feel like really.
It just turned her into somebody
she
that
could just have a natural hatred towards Terminators anyway, and I feel like you didn't need that. To me, again, it just kind of felt like a. Let me just take a shit on your chest after you loved this movie, and it was just like, you fucking idiot, nerd. You know what I mean? Like, that was just kind of just like, okay.
They kind of reduced her character, though. They reduced her character to the point where you can't really, yeah, I lost my son 20 years ago, and I get this text message on my phone, and it says, do it for John. So now I go where the coordinates are, and for the past 15 years. I guess
I just didn't feel like there was enough resonance to.
There's no character there.
To her connection to Carl in general is just kind of kind of an interesting angle to take with the Terminator, but still just one that didn't really totally work for me overall.
Mm-hmm.
But I just felt like the beginning was just like oh, here we go. Okay. Like that was just kind of the immediate sensation I had watching it. But there's the rest of the movie that happens after that, with Danny and the new savior of the future from because Judgment Day has been prevented, but in its place is Judgment Day. Except don't call it Judgment Day because it's totally different.
Totally different.
It's not Skynet anymore. It's totally different. And they just happen to make the exact same machines, and the exact same future happens basically, and such and
can't
so forth.
avoid it.
Except that I got cyborgs and shit too, and such. So
she falls from the fucking bridge. Boom, 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 boom. It's like, god damn.
Yeah.
Whatever augments you got, you're pretty much invincible at that point. I mean, you fell 40 foot from a bridge and hit everything on the way down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that sequence though inside that plant was pretty cool with the hammer. I really enjoyed
towards
that.
the beginning.
Yeah.
And I know you liked that when the trailers came out. You liked kind of the visceral nature of it. And I thought that did work pretty well. I mean, I feel like it was a generally pretty visceral movie overall, where the action sequences, it did feel like there was impact to it. Like they were like, oh, we got to beat the fucking shit out of this thing because it's basically invincible. I felt like that was conveyed well. Up
until the point where they're fighting underwater in the raging river.
Yeah.
So they take
and then
that
like
fight
the Humvee, and like they're like invincible in it, and it turned into a theme park ride for the third act. Is that
that's what I'm talking about. And then they escape the vehicle, and they go up to the top, and it's a fucking nice gentle stream. Did that bother you? Did you recognize that?
I wasn't paying that much attention at that point.
Okay, yeah, so they're fighting under the water, and the fucking river's ripping them across the thing, and this and that, and it looks crazy underwater. It looks like they're fucking 100 foot underwater, and it's in the jet stream. It's crazy shit. And then they pop that parachute, and they swim all the way to the surface. And it's a gentle stream. They just swim up to the fucking shore and get on shore. And that's what that was. And I thought that was, I don't know. I just thought it was very stupid. Very, very stupid. Also, the fighting in the plane was kind of lame, too. I thought that was kind of lame.
Yeah, well, I thought that whole thing looked bad in the trailer, and it continued to look bad, I thought, overall.
Yeah. The final fight was pretty cool with the chain.
Once they were inside, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was all right. I'll take that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Let's see, what else was there? The most egregious thing to me, though, was the river. The river really bothered me. They're fighting in the... Yeah, I thought it was just awful. I thought that was very bad. Oh, the shoehorned. It's talking about something being shoehorned.
Shoehorned. I'm curious to see what you have to say.
So, they bring up the fact that, like, oh, no, your purpose... She says, oh, your purpose in life is to give birth to the guy that's gonna, you know, bring her forth the revolution, this and that. It's just, you're me. And then later on, I didn't bring it up earlier, but no, you are the revolution. And I just thought it just didn't feel organic in any sort of way. It felt kind of lame. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I feel like they built it up as like a big reveal, and I was just like, okay, but like how? Because I feel like we didn't get a sense of like why Danny was such a big deal in the future. Like at least with John, I think in the first one, the first two, really, you get the sense that like, oh, he's the fucking guy, you know, that basically solidifies the resistance that makes them as successful as they are. And I feel like the way that they kind of spooled out Danny's story as being so relevant to the future, by the time we got to future Danny, I was just like, hey, this is total fucking cornball. All of this is bad. But I just kind of felt like the impact was lost. Like it was trying to be like no, it's different, but I'm like, no, it's still the same. It's, you know, you've tried it again, but no, it's still the same. Like, I'm glad that they didn't
change the gender of the person that's doing it, and it's still the same thing.
Yeah, like I get, like, you know, like I kind of got where they're going for, but it was so heavy-handed with the way they went about it. Instead of just being, you know, Sarah Connor just being like, it was her, you know, like, and then they're like, but you weren't her. And I'm like, well, no, it's still the same though. You know, like that's to me, like kind of the impact that it had. It was just like, look at this big fucking revelation. And, but then it wasn't. It was just kind of just like, it just didn't have any sort of real payoff overall. I don't know. I mean, I guess it was just kind of like for Grace to be like, you know, to solidify her sacrifice or whatever. But okay, all right, you know, fucking Reese died too. You know what I mean? Like it's the same fucking thing. You know, it's the same fucking movie.
Any way you spin it, it's the same shit.
You know, and you know, and Carl sacrifices himself, not dissimilar to how. The Terminator did in Terminator 2, you know? So it's just kind of just like, oh, it's different in the sense that it's the same thing, but in the same movie, but it's still the same. And that's just for me. It's just like anytime they try to do like some big, like different thing, and it was just like, you're not doing anything novel. Like you think that by virtue of the fact that like you've changed some slight difference, it's just magically different, but it's not. It's just a rehash. It's just the same thing. You've copied and pasted and changed one word. I'm like, no, that's still plagiarism. You would get kicked out of school for that.
It's still the same thing.
Yeah, you know, like that's just kind of this movie in general. And, you know, apparently it's a Terminator franchise staple is just to do the same fucking thing and then change one slight thing about it. I mean, you know, like, okay, you know, the Terminator's a little older in this, and he's got a family, and it's just like, you haven't noticed, she hasn't noticed that you're 400 pounds, and I'm like, yeah, that's fucking weird. I think someone would notice that. Like, you just, like, put your hand on his shoulder at some point and just be like, what the fuck is happening here?
You're fucking strong, dude.
And Arnold's just like, I'm a bodybuilder. You know, like, you know, like maybe he just played off, but I'm like, I would like to know the logistics of this arrangement. Just in general, of just like, you don't sleep, you don't have sex, you don't eat, as far as I'm aware. What's going on here? How has there been so many years where no one has just questioned your behavior, Carl?
He drinks cervezas, though. He knows how to...
Did we ever actually see him cervezas? I feel like he served cervezas, but never actually drank any himself, but I could be wrong.
He does cut the limes. I don't know if he drinks them or not, but surely his his body can take everything else. Surely it can take him drinking a
Yeah,
beer.
you can just dump some Coronas down and just corrode the internals of his little Terminator endoskeleton.
So that's all it takes to kill a
That's his
Terminator.
undoing, is just downing some Coronas.
Arnold was good in this, though. There was some good
He was
humor
good,
from
and it was
Arnold.
fun. It was humorous, and also, this is Texas, and just little things like like I didn't think the humor was great in this movie. It was a lot of it was just kind of just like, okay, I get that was supposed to be funny, but it wasn't that funny. Like that was kind of my reaction for most of this movie, but it wasn't bad overall. Like it didn't hold this movie back in any sort of way. And Arnold was good,
Arnold was Arnold, though. To be fair, he was Arnold.
Yeah. Typical,
But Arnold's good, though. If you like Arnold
goodness.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how much more there is. I don't know how much more there is to say about this movie. I mean,
the only thing that I could say, and what I thought maybe you were hinting at, but obviously it was not, in terms of things that just kind of felt forced or like shoot in. The whole EMP subplot to me felt a bit totally half-assed, and I have this contact in the Air Force that's just going to bring me an EMP, and then he is like a character for like a minute, and then he just gets shot, and I'm just like, what is happening right
That's
now?
true. Yeah, that's
It's just a weird character it felt like they cut material or something like that.
Was he a pull from another movie? I assumed he was a pull from another movie.
No, he wasn't. He is absolutely. I was like, oh, is he like the son of someone from is he like Miles Dyson Jr. or something? Like, what are they going to do here? Like, are they going to do something that like ties the movie together? But I was just like, it's just this random guy that just shows up with an EMP and is just like, I'm breaking all the laws for you, Sarah Connor. And I'm like, why? Why would you do that? It's a terrible idea.
Because she's effectively been a nut since Terminator 2. Like,
yeah,
she's
fucking
out of her mind.
nutcase for like 20 years. She's like, oh, I'm not allowed in all 50 states. I'm like, well, it's probably for a good reason, but I mean, she's not wrong, Judgment Day and such. But either way, I don't know. I just kind of felt like that was a bit odd. It felt like an editing kind of thing for me. Just like we can't reshoot most of this dialogue, so we'll see who cares, and no one will see this movie anyway, right?
Obviously, Colton Brown cares.
I did. You fuckers, I care. I think it's safe to say this is not getting a sequel.
Maybe it'll get a reboot.
Do you want a reboot?
No, I don't
honest question. I mean, like, are you like? I personally am. I'm good on
personally. I've seen this one, obviously, but Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 are my Terminators.
Yeah, I'm good. Just end it there. I'm good. Like, I don't need more.
They made a ride for Terminator 2. They made the little CG thing.
Yeah, that's fine. That's better than most. That's better than all the sequels. Really, it's not great, but it's better.
I don't need. I don't. As far as I'm concerned, there are no. I mean, yes, this. I saw this movie, but it's not. I don't know. It doesn't feel. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a Terminator movie. It doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like the Terminators were made.
Yeah. No, I agree. For me, there's just.
It's almost like Prometheus.
Me, really.
Prometheus.
Yeah.
Prometheus is supposed to be an alien movie, but I just kind of view Prometheus as Prometheus. You know what I mean? There's like a detachment from the series that came before.
Yeah. I'd agree. I don't know.
That's weird. Just leave the 80s where they're at, man. The 80s and 90s, leave it where it.
Maybe. I mean, like Blade Runner, I was happy to see a new Blade Runner, but like...
That's cool. That's different. It's a very different fucking movie, though. It's a very different movie. Yeah. I mean, I guess make the same movie over again. But, I don't know. I don't know.
I think as a blanket rule, I don't think there should be any rule against like doing a new updated iteration of something, but do something new with it. You know what I mean? Like, I guess like Force Awakens didn't really do anything new in terms of plot, but at least it brought some interesting characters in. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways to do things that still feel familiar.
It was almost like a soft refresh. It was like a refresh is what it was. It wasn't a reboot.
And like
it was a soft refresh.
I mean, maybe you could say this is intended to be something like that, except we got Genesis a few years ago, which was also that and also bad. So it's just kind of like it's a little bit different, I think, in terms of situations. But either way, I don't know. It just just didn't do it for me. I think it's as simple as that, and I think that's where I will end my thoughts on the film. So
I as well. That's it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna ask you, sir. I know you've been doing some exciting things recently, so I'll ask you about that and any other things you'd like to talk about.
Yeah. So I finished season 2 of The Sinner. I finished it on the Netflix. Watched season 1. Watched season 2. I don't know if I talked about season 1. Did I talk about season 1 on here?
I don't think so.
Well, I watched season 1 a little while ago, and it was pretty good. This is it stars Jessica Biel.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You did talk. You talked about season 1, but you did not talk about season 2.
Okay, well, I started season 2, and that one kind of flew by. We kind of just like.
Well, she's not in season 2, right? Am I mistaken?
No, she's not. She's not in season 2, but she. I think she still produces it.
Oh,
I'm not mistaken.
Does it still got Bill Pullman, not Paxton?
It does. Yes.
Okay.
This one, Bill Paxton goes to his family. Bill Pullman. Sorry, Bill Pullman goes to his town. He gets a call. He goes to a new town, or he goes to his town that he grew up in, and there is a case that has some shade with it, and he ends up getting sucked into it. Pretty good. Okay. Pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed season 1 a little bit more, but season 2 was pretty good. And this was a USA show, I think, from the original network that it aired on. And apparently they've greenlit season 3, but I don't know when it comes out or anything else. I think I caught it on the Googs.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I also caught I actually, just before this podcast, I watched the Rick and Morty premiere.
Oh yeah, I saw that was debuted. It's been a while. It's been like what, 2-3 years since season 3?
Yeah,
at least
276 days, I think, is what it said on the little Adult Swim thing.
I feel like it's been longer than that.
Maybe 376 days. I don't know.
Maybe a year. Maybe a year sounds right. I don't know. I still feel like it's been longer than that. I feel like season 3 aired when I was in Jacksonville, so I feel like it's been longer than that.
Are you ready for the title for the episode?
Yes.
Edge it to Morty.
Oh. I gotta watch it now. Edge it to Morty. I didn't even finish season 3, man. Oh, I gotta go back.
It's pretty fucking excellent. It made me laugh a couple times. I'm glad Rick and Morty is back. Mm-hmm. I watched it in there, and Sarah's working on her like school shit, and I don't know. Like, I was worried she was going to, like, hey, can you turn it down a little bit? I find their voices annoying or something. She didn't complain about it, which was pretty cool. But she said she didn't like it, but she didn't. I mean, she wasn't really paying attention to it, and I'm not entirely surprised that she didn't like it. But I thought it was very funny. My Hero Academia, the next season's out. I've caught the first episode. I think I'm like 2 or 3 episodes behind. I'm excited to get back on that train. That's a really good anime.
Yeah, Henry actually gave me, I think, the first season Blu-ray.
Need to get into it, dude. It's something
I should get into. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely more anime. It's heavy anime for sure, but it's written really well. I think it's a very good anime. I also went to Food and Wine Festival this past weekend, and that was pretty good. Went around.
Did you partake in some food and some wine?
And food and some wine and some brews. Definitely a good experience. Definitely an expensive experience. I haven't ventured in my bank account since I went. But what I did was I got a Disney pass for my birthday. So now I'm an annual pass holder at the Disney's, and I couldn't, I used to go to Disney all the time. I used to be an annual pass holder when I was living at my dad's house, and we used to go all the time because my sister liked Bear in the Big Blue House and all this other stuff, and we went all the time. And I think I kind of just got burnt out or something.
Yeah.
And I just didn't really appreciate it. But now going back, and now that it was just exorbitantly expensive, I had a really good time when I bought the pass a few months back, and we went for a couple days, and I had a really good time. And now my mom bought me a pass, which was awesome. And so we went to the Food and Wine Festival, And then the next day we went to Galaxy's Edge. Holy shit. Talking about expensive, not looking at the bank account. I did the lightsaber experience. I built a lightsaber. And I bought some holocrons. I bought a Sith holocron and a Jedi holocron. And I also bought 2 additional crystals. So I built a green lightsaber with the Guardian. So when you go there, when you make the reservation for the deal and you go and you check in, you can select from a number of different hilt styles. And I picked the Guardian style. And they're kind of like Old Republic-esque looking hilts, I guess. And I ended up picking a green kyber crystal, right? Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, we built the saber, and it was really awesome. It was a really cool vent. And then we were walking around, and I switched out my crystals, and I noticed that my shit wasn't lining up right. And I picked a bunch of asymmetrical looking pieces, right? They let you select from a group of different pieces, and you put it together, and that's the thing. Well, apparently the way that they sell the pieces is they're quote unquote scrap metal, right? They're not necessarily meant to look like a movie cast thing, right? Okay. But I picked a bunch of asymmetrical pieces, and I was really fucking irritated by it because, all my stuff, I wanted my stuff to line up. And it didn't line up, and so I went back to the place where you build the lightsaber. I'm like, hey, listen, my shit's not lining up, and they're like, well, listen, it's scrap metal, and they give you their Disney spiel about it. And I was like, yeah, but I paid $200 for it, so I paid 200 credits for it, so I'd like it to line up. And they kind of threw it. They said, well, you can have it line up, but it just can't be tight. You just keep it loose. I'm like, okay. So I left there, and then my mom and my sister were like, that lady was a bitch, and blah, 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 blah. We're going to go back, and we can get, if you're not happy with it, we're going to go back and get it. I'm like, okay. So we went to the store, and the store is really badass. The store's got these robes. You can buy Luke Skywalker's fucking robe. I think it's Luke Skywalker's robe. Maybe it's the Emperor's robe. I don't know. Maybe it's the Emperor's robe. It's like $250. It might be like Luke Skywalker's Return of the Jedi robe. Okay. I'm not sure if it was black or not, though. I think it was black. I can't remember. Either way, store is incredible. It's awesome. And we went in there and we talked to the manager and stuff. And so he brought out a couple of different things and essentially rebuilt the whole lightsaber. And I got it to where it was lining up and stuff good. And I got back home and I popped in the crystals, and I have Emperor Palpatine, and I have Yoda, and I have another Emperor Palpatine, and then I've got the non-Force wielder. His name's like Chitwan Eltway or whatever his name is. The blind dude from... Chirrut? Yes. I got him, and I have Darth Bane, which Darth Bane, I activated the Sith holocron, and he started fucking rambling about all sorts of shit about how there were the Sith destroyed each other by their greed, blah 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 blah, and just started like, I have no idea who the fuck this is. This is incredible. It just blew my mind, dude. I got so excited when there wasn't quotes coming from the thing that I didn't immediately recognize. I had to Google the quotes, and it's Darth Bane, which is pretty fucking rad. That's pretty cool. So I have a green crystal, a white crystal, and a yellow crystal, and I am pumped up about it. I have 2 Sith holocrons. And the holocrons are kind of janky. They cost $50 each, and they're made of plastic, but they're still pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, you sent me some videos. They look pretty badass.
They're pretty cool. And they kind of look like hell. Like I have a Hellraiser cube, which is the Jedi holocron, and then the Sith holocron's a pyramid. And I'm pretty happy about it. I'm pretty... next time I go, which it probably won't be immediate, but next time I go, I'll probably end up purchasing a movie saber, or like a saber from like the shop where they're like legit, like...
Just like a replica of like one of the...
Right. They're almost like Force Effect sabers. Yeah. I don't know if there's... I don't know if they're of the same quality. I know that the plastic blade probably isn't. But it's still really they feel nice. Like the one that I built probably weighs a good 5 pounds. Like it just feels
good.
It feels good, right? So, yeah, really cool experience. I didn't ride any rides, unfortunately. The ride lines were exorbitantly long, and I already put the family through enough, building my lightsaber and then going back and fighting with them and this and that. So I just, last time I made a big deal at a theme park, I got slapped in the face in the 5th grade, and it taught me a lesson not to fucking put people through shit. So I choose not to do that anymore. So other than that, Sarah and I watched A New Hope. In preparation for our bonus episode. I might have a guest. We might have a guest on the bonus episode, and we can get a completely fresh... I'm actually very interested to get a completely fresh perspective on the Star Wars saga. So Sarah might be a guest with us through the next couple bonus episodes, leading up to the
a first-time Star Wars viewer. That's a fun angle.
It is a fun angle. It's fresh. How many people haven't seen Star Wars? I feel like everybody's seen Star Wars.
No, probably a decent amount, honestly, but like
there's a few of them out there. So Sarah's one of them, and she watched A New Hope. So you may be hearing her opinions about the future shows or the future movies. And I am incredibly stoked for the fucking Mandalorian, which is airing here in a couple of hours, I think.
Ish. It'll be up in the morning. Won't be up at midnight.
Yeah, well, I won't be watching it. I'll have to watch it tomorrow. So.
I'll be watching it tomorrow, my friend.
So what do you got? What have you been up to, dude?
Busy with school, as I mentioned. Kind of ate up a good amount of my time this past week, but I've had a little bit more free time on the back end of the week/weekend. I saw a film by the name of Parasite.
Oh shit, you saw it.
South Korean film by Bong Joon-ho, director of Snowpiercer, The Host, a couple other things I think that are pretty well known, pretty well regarded. Incredible. I don't want to say a whole lot on it because I want you to see it if you get the opportunity to, and I absolutely think that you should go out of your way to see it. That not only goes for you, Andrew, that goes for our listeners as well.
I looked into it. It wasn't fucking playing anywhere near me.
That's unfortunate. Yeah. Okay, so it wasn't playing in the city, but it was playing in Jersey, like a 25-minute drive. So Anna and I saw it over the weekend, and it's one of those movies I think that kind of will root its way into your brain and stay there for a couple days,
like a
just
Parasite.
To let you kind of think about it, like a Parasite, exactly. It's really good. It's a movie I think that I didn't know too much about it. I'd seen the trailer once or twice, which I think did a good job of not totally spooling out kind of what was going to happen. And it's a movie that like has a lot of turns in it.
Is it a social movie? It looked like it was kind of like a social movie.
It is. It definitely has aspects of that, rich versus the poor, and kind of, the impact of that on life in general. And it's kind of a melding of genres overall, I'd say. But again, I'm kind of reticent to give too much detail on it because I think it rewards not knowing what to really expect walking in.
Okay, fair enough.
I would encourage you to see that. Obviously, The Lighthouse is something we both want to see. And I think both are probably deserving of their own coverages. So if we can make something happen on that front, that would be great. If not, maybe if you get a chance to see Parasite, or if we get a chance to see The Lighthouse, then at some point we can at least have a conversation about it.
Maybe a dual bonus episode or something like that, because I feel like Lighthouse is
There's
fleeting.
just a lot of indies. Jojo Rabbit is now kind of out, I think, a little bit more nationwide now. I don't know if that's playing near you, but it should be hopefully soon. Like, there's just a lot of stuff that's out, I think, that we would both like in general. But not only that, I think it's stuff that we could really have some things to say about and have good conversations about. So it's an idea that I'll throw out there, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, maybe. Aside from that, purely non-film and television related, I guess somewhat television related. I went to a Flyers game, Philadelphia Flyers.
A little hockey action.
Yeah, getting into the hockey these days.
NHL hits.
I know a lot more about hockey than I did, you might say, about 4 months ago, I suppose. And went to a game. It's the second game I've gone to. Technically, the first one was a preseason game. This was the first regular season game. They won in overtime, which was nice. Nice to see a win. Flyers are on a bit of a hot streak as of recording, a 4-game win streak. I think they've gotten points in 5 out of their last 6 games, which is pretty excellent, and they've vaulted their way into 3rd place in their division. So a good start for the Flyers, who have not been very good in recent years from what I've been told. But it was really fun. Hockey kind of been...
Hockey's really fun to go to. Those games
I guess
are
I've been
fun.
kind of underrating hockey. I mean, I still don't fully understand hockey, but I do know a lot more than I used to, so...
Hockey's fun. The games are. I think of all the sporting events, hockey's among the most fun to go and watch. I think.
Yeah, it is pretty fun. I mean, I've actually started to enjoy like watching it on TV too. But like going to the game, like there was just a very satisfying crack of just sticks against puck, and I was just like, you don't really get that on TV. Like when you're there, it just feels like it's more.
Then people smashing against the fucking window. Yeah, and it's everybody going.
Cool.
It's super crazy. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the Lightning kind of suck so far this year, but we ain't
talking about them. We're talking about the fucking Flyers. Okay, keep it on your own states.
All right. So. Well, it's early. It's early in the season anyway. So, last thing I have to offer is an update on my secret project that I teased last episode. No updates on that front. I've been working on it, but no updates in the sense that I'm not telling you what I'm doing yet. I'm going to say a couple specific reasons, but I won't tell you what those reasons are until I unveil what it is. So yeah, just teeing that up for you. I'm still working on that little thing, and boy, are you gonna love it.
I have no idea what it is.
You are gonna love it. So yeah, that's it for me. I don't have a whole lot else to talk about. So I think that might be it. What do you think?
That's it.
All right. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. You can support us on Patreon if you want to access our Evil Dead bonus episode, or if you want to access our forthcoming Star Wars bonus episodes. Just head to patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat, or head to our website, watchreviewrepeat.com, and click the premium tab in the top left, and then click the Become a Patron button. $2 a month gets you access to all bonus episodes ahead of everyone else, all regular episodes ahead of everyone else. Some cool other shit too, name on the website. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. All right, you can follow us on Twitter at WRRPod. You can like us on Facebook at Watch Review Repeat. You can send any questions, comments, or suggestions to our Gmail account, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Next episode, obviously talked about some indies. I don't know if that's going to be the next one we do. Dr. Sleep came out this past weekend. I think that's something both of us want to check out. I think maybe we'll cover that. What do you think, Andrew? Dr. Sleep on your radar? Maybe?
I had the option this weekend, I think, to go see Dr. Sleep or Ford versus Ferrari. And
I know we want to see that. I know we want to see Ford, so I don't know. I don't know what we'll cover. I want to see both, and whether or not I guess we do an episode on both, I suppose, is up for debate. Maybe we can figure out how we want to do it, but I definitely want to see both. So we'll probably do one or the other, maybe both at some point or in some fashion, whether or not it's a specific episode for each or not.
A lot of movies coming out in November.
To be determined, but November is just jam packed, and unfortunately we got a week behind because of me. Mea culpa, but. Just with November's pretty relentless. It's that, and then it's Frozen, and then it's Knives Out. It's just a lot. It's just a lot to cover. So, and there's a lot of things that I want to see, and hopefully we'll be able to cover in some capacity. So, we'll see what happens. But lots of good shit. So whatever we end up doing, look forward to that. It's going to be a good one, hopefully. So until next time, that is it from us at Watch Review Repeat. Andrew.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Laters on the Menche.